nation being the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My name is Dayo Benjamin Zlani. It's my privilege to be hosting this event and the agenda here today at the Presidential Banquet Hall, State House, Abuja, from now on for the next 2.5 hours, shall clearly profile, articulate, bring into the fore all of the very significant engagements that have given Nigeria such a distinctive place in the leadership interventions in GBV here in Africa and across the database of interventions around the world. Can we all please rise for the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? One nation bound in freedom, peace, and unity. O God of creation, direct our noble cause. Amen. You may be seated. Bless you. The rest of the expression of what is the second verse of our national anthem goes on to state, O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. It is in the spirit of peace and justice, the jurisprudence of the outcry, and indeed a very significant one, that today you are gathered here. And this convergence here in this physical capacity of the Villa State House Banquet Hall and online internationally with all of the global participation and attention is giving voice, visibility, and a very significant deep dive into billboards, frameworks, and policies that have activated a new path and direction for GBV in Africa through the Nigerian story. Expected is the representative of Her Excellency, the wife of the President, founder of Future Assured, Her Excellency, the First Lady, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari. She'll be represented by Dr. Hajo Sani. I'd like to properly acknowledge, therefore, with the protocols this afternoon, our Honorable Minister for Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. Please help me appreciate and acknowledge the presence of Abubakar Malami, SAN. You're welcome, sir. Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, Her Excellency Dame Pauline Talen, OFRKSG. Good afternoon, Madam. Honorable Minister of State for Budget and Planning, Prince Clem Agba. Good afternoon, sir. Your Excellency, you're welcome. Your Excellency, wife of the chairman of the Governors Forum, wife of the Ekiti State Governor, Her Excellency Bisi Adeleye Fayemi. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Along with her, another distinctive Excellency, First Lady of Kwara State, wife of the Kwara State Governor, Her Excellency Olufolake Molawa Abdul Razak, still expected. And the wife of Kebbi State Governor, here with us, Her Excellency Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, welcome. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, all heads of UN agencies here present, our distinguished development partners, Gentlemen of the press, invited guests and online participants, ladies and gentlemen. Today, in the power of sustainable progress in the GBV response in Nigeria, we would like, first of all, to take what for an event opening is a clarion statement and message from His Excellency, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, the EU Commissioner. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome right now his message that shall be coming.
Around the world, violence against women and girls, especially rape, is skyrocketing. Many incidents have triggered widespread outrage, yet some keep trying to play the oldest game in the book, the blame game. Blame the COVID-19 pandemic, blame social and economic stress, blame uncertainty, even outrageously blame the victim, usually a woman or worse still, a girl. Blame anything, everything, but the perpetrator. Let's be really clear. Sexual violence, in any form of violence, is simply violence. There is absolutely no excuse, there is no justification, and there must be zero tolerance. All of us must stand together and speak out. Try by joining the EU and the UN initiative on Spotlight to fight violence against women everywhere, in our societies, our communities, and at home. I'm the proud mother of 4 daughters. But the loudest voices urging me to speak up came from my sons. And they said, "Mum, this is already a dangerous issue. It's in our chat spaces. You need to do something about it. People will listen." I'm not sure people will listen, but if I can make a difference in one woman's life, then it is worth speaking about it. When I asked what they were hearing, they said it varies. Some say violence is not right, but others appallingly say women asked for it. Really? You and I know that men and boys who commit violence against women and girls are just simply not men. They're weak, it's shameful. They are, sadly, the textbook definition of a coward. And for those who turn a blind eye or deaf ear saying, "It's a private matter," know that you too are accomplices to violence. Now we can agree to disagree, but because of these attitudes, millions of women and girls face the clear and present danger of the threat of violence and rape every day, at home, in school, and these days online. Men and boys, fathers and sons, husbands, we must have this conversation. Take responsibility, speak up, stand with women and girls. Let's join hands with survivors of violence, including rape. Listen to their stories. Let's call out victim blaming and shaming. Let's rally our communities to say no to gender-based violence. Let's remember that if not for a woman and her 9 months of labor, I'm not sure that you men would be here today. So let's stand with our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our partners, and together, let's declare in one voice, I'm with her.
Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, let's never forget, let's remember. And in the place of 9 months of labor that have given humanity who they are as human expressions, we must be able to translate that to the power of everything that we never forget. Her Excellency, the wife of the First Lady, is here represented by the Senior Special Advisor to His Excellency, the President, Hajar Sani, and she will be taking this next message on behalf of Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and founder, future assured. Please, let's put our hands together and welcome upstage for that presentation, Hajia Hajo Sani. This is a collaboration internationally, both at the global level and scale of connection and linkage, and one through a federation expression here in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in terms of GBV and all of its articulation between the UN and the EU. I understand that we have a little challenge, so while we are resetting the program for the event, I will invite His Excellency, the EU Head of Delegation, Ambassador Ketil Carlson, to please come up and do his own message, both as a welcome and definitely as a profiling. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Dio. As long as you promise not to tell my commissioner that I spoke before her on International Women's Day +1. But Your Excellencies, honorable ministers, dear colleagues, and above all to the brilliant, strong, independent, inspiring, creative, dynamic, and not least powerful women in Nigeria and beyond, a belated but very heartfelt Happy International Women's Day +1 to you. You are, as Amina just said before, our sisters, our daughters, our wives, our colleagues, and our friends. And you are increasingly as well, and I think irreversibly so, as well, our bosses. And you will hopefully see one of my bosses in a few minutes, Commissioner Urpilainen, speaking to you. We just saw Amina Mohammed as well, of course. The very president of the European Union Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is of course a woman, a mother of 7, and still steering Europe with a very safe pair of hands through the murky waters at times of crisis. My own national prime minister, I'm a Danish national, is a woman as well, Madam Mette Frederiksen. And of course, we have seen recently other Nigerians racing to top-level international positions, such as the case of Dr. Ngozi at the helms of the World Trade Organization. And there are many women in this room today, including, of course, our very dear mentor and friend, the Minister of Women's Affairs, who is demonstrating to everyone how women are racing to occupy very central positions. Still, on that positive note, we have not seen that translating into a proper, proportional representation of women in politics in Nigeria. And I still wonder why. So my hope for 2021, and you know, not making this only International Women's Day +1 and then month, but really for the full year and beyond, is that we will see a translation into action in terms of genuine reforms that will create affirmative access for women to more positions of power in Nigeria. This is a clear recommendation, of course, of the EU observation mission that came here in 2019. And we follow very closely the deliberations taking place in the National Assembly amongst the leaders as well, and hope that we will see both legislative and practical changes in the Constitution, in electoral reforms, but also within the political parties. Because this is not an either-or. It is not a question on whether these reforms should take place within the political parties or as a normative change in the legislative framework. It's a bit of both, and it takes a lot of bold and courageous leadership to see that transformative change, hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, as we all know, we are living at very difficult times. And the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed, it has augmented, and it has magnified all of those vulnerabilities that we see in our societies already. And that is why we have again and again stressed, the pandemic within the pandemic that we have seen related to sexual and gender-based violence in 2020 and in 2021 as well, making it frankly difficult to open a newspaper in the morning with the fear of what stories of violence, of rapes and even killings that we will see of women, girls, and sometimes boys as well. I do, however, really wish to comment here with the presence of representatives from the federal governments and states alike, the resolve and the bold moves that have been taken to say enough is enough. We saw this with the declaration of a state of emergency of the Governors Forum, of course, and we have seen it with the announcement of the President himself and the ministers that are with us this afternoon. And that is really excellent because it's demonstrating that political will to move forward. But of course, words need to be converted into action always. And that is why I feel particularly proud that today, later today, we will launch a barometer that will track the implementation at state level of the legislation and the methodologies and the institutions that we know deliver results in terms of having a victim-centered response to gender-based violence. Having a domestication and an implementation, of course, of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act in all states. The same for the Child Rights Act. Having in place shelters. Having in place, as we have seen increasingly, sexual assault referral centers, as supported by the Spotlight Initiative as well. And seeing a more in-depth implementation as well of registers for violators of sexual assault. We know that this is a recipe that works. We know that by providing those fundamental rights and services to the victims, a real change can occur. So we feel proud of this recipe that is proving to work. Multilateralism in practice, working together based on the visions and the ambitions of our Nigerian friends and partners, but liaising and partnering with the UN system as well. And as you will hear hopefully soon from my commissioner, putting it center stage as the very essence of what is the European Union, the rights of women and girls, like it's laid down in our Gender Action Plan. And this is the promise I make to you, that this will continue to be our center priority as we define the engagement of the future as well. So thank you very much for coming today, and again, a very belated, happy International Women's Day to all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, another round of applause. Help me appreciate His Excellency Ambassador Kettle Carlson. And thank you. Yes, I promise not to tell. And the visibility is in the forefront and frontline expression of distinguishing the cause and the follow-through. Hashtag Women's Day +1 and hashtag Hope for 2021. We heard you loud and clear, sir. Not just about the GBV, but more also about the GPF, Gender Political Factor, for 2023. So, even in hearing, we are strategizing with a brand new, deliberate, and courageous GBV response and response to all things in the Nigerian front line of leadership and differentiation for true change. We're going to be inviting right now, we're going to be watching rather, a video by his commissioner, as he mentioned, the EU Commissioner, Jutta Urpilainen. And what we're about to watch and see should create a whole new legacy in our engagement and follow through, not just for GBV, but for all leadership initiative. Thank you.
President Buhari, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to invest in a better future for all. We want an equal world where women and girls live up to their potential and no one is left behind. That is the basis of our new EU Gender Action Plan, the GAP 3. We will join forces with our member states and partner with our friends and allies. Together, we will speed up progress towards gender equality and women's empowerment. The COVID-19 pandemic has fueled a steep rise in domestic violence worldwide. We need global partnerships like Spotlight Initiative between you and the EU to bring violence against women and girls to an end. Today, I'm proud to say that Spotlight is running in 25 countries across the world. In Africa, Spotlight is part of our broader and ambitious partnership. It is about supporting youth and women, which benefits society as a whole. And I am pleased that today's Spotlight event highlights our common ambition with Nigeria to address this global issue. Nigeria is leading the way. I congratulate you for this, and I look forward to our continued partnership with Nigeria to end gender-based violence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yuta. And yes, as an EU Commissioner, giving us clearly what the scorecard, the gold standard reference is, and how Nigeria, in leading in the Spotlight Initiative, has become a light and is directing that light into more of our community and global partnerships with other related initiatives. 25 countries across the world. And here we are in this country, this capital center, the Federal Capital Territory. ASO, translated, means victory. So whenever we talk about the ASO rock, that which is immutable and immovable, we're talking about that which moves with the power and strength of sure victory in its embarkation and translation for results. Today I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the essay to the Senate President on Gender, Hajia Fatima Zahia. We also have with us representing the Executive Secretary for Human Rights Commission, Barrister Unduka Ezenwogo. You're very, very welcome. I'd like to acknowledge also with us here today all of the representation of partners from the Interministerial Committee on SGBV, all of the eminent presence, representations here and online of development partners for this project. We've already acknowledged their excellencies, representatives of the diplomatic community here. We have a number of Nigerian celebrities and social media influencers who have been very, very key to engaging both this as a single event and also the project as a national one. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge Omoni Oboli, a distinguished Nigerian lady actress, Susan Coker, social media influencers Zara Danjejo, Mariam Shatima, and Laila Ali Othman, all social media influencers. We also have distinguished Nigerian producer Bright Obina and another eminent Nigerian actress of global reference, Stephanie Okereke. We'd like to appreciate every one of you and the entire movie industry in Nigeria, brand, EU and Landon Mills, and all of the winners of the video competition that was put together for the purpose of articulating this message by the European Union here present, 6 of you, and we shall be doing the presentation of winners on this program of events. for the rest of the UN family and the team that have worked with this dream in the collaboration of the Spotlight Initiative. Also participants of the National Art Competition, Sheroes, every one of you, a number of you here out of over 600 and something participants. It's been an incredible force for bringing about true hope and true change to the message of the now. And now I'd like to invite to please come up for his goodwill message, Honorable Minister for Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. Please help me welcome Abubakar Malami, SA, my Lord. Please a round of applause as he comes up. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the wife of the President and the First Lady of the Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Dr. Hajosani, the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, my colleague in the Federal Executive Council, the Honorable Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, the wives of the executive governors here present, and I especially recognize the wife of the Governor of Kebbi State, Dr. Zainab Bagudu, the European Union Ambassador to Nigeria here present, SA to the Senate President on Gender, the Executive Secretary, to National Human Rights Commission, my learned brother, Mr. Ojukwu, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, I spoke about Nigeria's vision of addressing the issue of drugs and crimes, including sex and gender-based violence, before United Nations Office of Crimes and Drugs. Today, I am here to talk about another very crucial issue that the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari stands firm to address. As a government, we are taking bold and unprecedented steps to lift the living standard of Nigerians, as well as ensure a Nigeria free of gender violence. As you know, it is in the mission of this government to build a nation where no one is left behind. A nation with a strong, swift justice sector, and where services are available and effective. As a people-oriented government that listens to the yearnings and aspirations of its citizens, the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Justice, has identified with call for national response against rape, sexual assault, and associated violence in the country. To support the achievement of gender equality and empowerment of women and girls, the Federal Ministry of Justice led the establishment of an interministerial management committee as a step forward to aid the achievement of our obligations under Sustainable Development Goals 5 and 6. In order to achieve these objectives, it is gratifying to note that we are undertaking essential reforms, including A, reviewing all the existing laws with a view to proposing to the National Assembly necessary legislative changes to ensure that the offenses of rape and child defilement are dealt with in consonance with international best practices. B, providing a comprehensive and appropriate support services to ensure that victims and survivors of sexual offenses are not subjected to further stigmatization and trauma by maintaining sexual assault referral centers, which will be domiciled in Federal Ministry of Justice headquarters and zonal offices. The center will respond to immediate gender-based violence-related issues and will continue to provide rapid and comprehensive response through prosecution of all forms of violence against women and children. C, ensuring speedy processing of stalled and pending cases of rape, child defilement that got delayed due to closure of courts and government institutions during the COVID-19 lockdown period. And E, reaffirming state policy of opposing bail and rejecting plea bargain proposals from perpetrators of rape and child defilement, and to also ensure that the federal government's policy of ensuring that convicted sex offenders do not benefit from power or prerogative of mercy remains in force. The Federal Ministry of Justice will, in driving these processes, bring together the 36 states attorneys general to consider effective collaborative support to stem the growing tide of rape and sexual assault. A meeting of the stakeholders, including the state attorneys general, will be carried out through scheduled virtual conference in due course. I am happy to inform you that the inaugurated Interministerial Management Committee is turning out to be quite effective platform for facilitating access to justice, upholding the rule of law, and improvement in prosecution services. For the months since its inception, the committee has made some decent progress in line with the objectives of its mission statement. An action plan has been developed. Services have been mapped out. Synergies are being promoted and created, and capacities are being built for those involved in prosecution of sexual offenses like sexual assault, rape, among others. To this end, the federal government is indeed resolved to ensuring having a sexual, gender violence-free society, and we are committed to that policy, both in terms of legal framework, in terms of policies and support services. We remain committed to it, we shall pursue it, and we will collaboratively work together with the institutions, states, in ensuring the promotion of gender violence-free society. I thank you most sincerely.
Another round of applause, and yes, even as he has thanked everyone most sincerely for your attention of his presentation, and of course that commitment and call to everyone for synergies, capacities, linkages, integration. The GBV is all about a whole new social reconstructive order, and the fundamentals are a formula for changing and bringing differentiation to our governance and to our social institution when it comes to effecting radical turnarounds. Thank you very much, sir. Attorney General, Minister for Justice of the Federation. Thank you very much, Abubakar Malami, SAN. Right now, we're going to be inviting Hajo Sani, our Senior Special Advisor to Mr. President for Women and all of the advocacy for that distinctive place of who we are and how we do what we do, representing Her Excellency, also the First Lady in that capacity. Your Excellency, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. The Honorable Minister, Attorney General of Justice, Federal Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami's son, the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, Honorable Minister for State of Budget and Planning, representative of the EU, the development partners, stakeholders, wives of the State Governor of Kebbi, Dr. Zainab, and that of Ekiti, Erelu Bisifayemi. Distinguished invited guests, it is always a pleasure for me to stand in and represent Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, at such a very important event. Please allow me to read her address. I want to start by thanking the organizers for bringing together critical stakeholders to review sustainable progress on gender-based violence in Nigeria. It is still devastating to hear that women and girls are increasingly becoming vulnerable in a society that is supposed to protect them, and also expected to protect them. For instance, the repeated abduction of young and innocent girls in schools. Let me remind us of our commitments to protect women and girls from abuse as well as from harmful traditional practices, and to say that so much and more need to be done. It is our responsibility to uphold this commitment. We must continue to unite as stakeholders and forge a common front before these problems can be overcome. Through my Future Assured program, under my Aisha Buhari Foundation, I have had opportunity to do a lot in terms of advocacy and action. I have not only commiserated with victims of the age-long crisis on gender-based violence, but also visited them and put their minds, their hands in mind. I supported their treatments, spoke loudly of their plight, and invited compassion to them from even unusual quarters. I have henceforth reached a point of optimism regarding our commitment over gender-based violence. Our campaign on Leave Our Girls Alone has reached all corners of Nigeria in the last 3 years. Our plan to constitute a presidential task force on ending gender-based violence in Nigeria is still on course. The objective is to review the policy and legal framework on gender-based violence with a view to proposing strengthening measures and an improved plan. I wish therefore to use this opportunity to commend all government and non-governmental organizations and actors for the sacrifices they are making to ensure that we end gender-based violence in Nigeria. I call on them not to relent. I also commend the state first ladies for their loud voice in this area. I thank you very much, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dr. Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, First Lady, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Senior Special Advisor to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Hajia Usani, and of course, representing Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and founder, Future Assured, Her Excellency Dr. Aisha Buhari. Thank you very much, Madam. And the presentation of the National GBV barometer today is a profiling in the fore of that which going ahead shall establish the trajectory and the pathway of constructive social reformation as touching the issue of GBV. We'd now like to have that demonstration. It shall be on the media boards, and it's an interactive engagement. Thank you.
A new wave of violence against women. Several women were recently raped and brutally murdered there. The killings have sparked nationwide outrage and led to growing calls for change.
Gender-based violence is a pressing global concern that has been made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic. In Nigeria, the problem is being addressed with several intervention strategies that are beginning to yield some positive results. To consolidate the different efforts of various stakeholders, the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, in partnership with the Interministerial Management Committee on Gender-Based Violence and the Nigeria Governors Forum, developed a National GBV barometer to track updates along a range of indicators. The barometer is a digital platform that portrays the state of gender-based violence across the country. It contains a comprehensive analysis of the status of relevant protection laws like the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law, the Child's Right Law, and laws prohibiting all forms of discrimination against people living with HIV/AIDS and people living with disability. The name of the platform, gbvinfo.ng, depicts its purpose of being a one-stop source for GBV information. It links up with other platforms like the NAPTIP Sex Offenders Register, where the list of convicted sex offenders is displayed, and also the GBV Situation Room, where the total number of GBV cases reported in the country is captured. This is disaggregated further according to the type of violence reported, the number of cases that go to court, and the number of trials concluded. Recently, Spotlight Initiative launched the Nana Khadija Center. This and all other GBV response centers are captured within the barometer, where you see the locations and the contact details displayed. For users wanting state-specific data, information captured in summary on a state-by-state basis gives visibility to state-led responses. The barometer is a source for news and events on gender-based violence in Nigeria. The different comparisons within this accountability tool serves as a validation of progress that would hopefully encourage even more actions towards ending violence against women and girls. States with similar challenges can share lessons or identify areas for collaboration. Donors and development partners can also use the data provided in the barometer to track the impact of their work and identify new partnerships. The GBV barometer will make it easy for all actors to engage on a drive towards building back better post-COVID-19 in a way that guarantees the safety and security of women and children.
I believe it's appropriate to put our hands together in an applause. A request for real impact and translating that impact into not just advocacy, but a transactional space in global and national integration. So here we are, and it is marking sustainable progress on gender-based violence response. And for the first response team, we'll have a very distinguished and eminently packaged panel. Today I'd like to respectfully ask to please come up and be seated here upstage at the Presidential Banquet Hall today in the State House. Our very distinguished and eminently collateraled Honorable Minister for Women Affairs. Please let me invite her to please come up and be seated. Let's put our hands together and welcome Her Excellency Dame Pauline Talon, I'm also going to be inviting. Thank you, please. Let's put our hands together and welcome her coming up. She's had a very busy, very busy season, and more so with the International Women's Day +1, plus all the way through to the end of March. We know fully well that the women will keep marching. You're welcome. Please be seated. Thank you. I'd also like to invite and call up the Honorable Minister of State for Budget and Planning, Prince Clem Agba. Please, a round of applause as he comes up to be seated. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Also now inviting wife of the chairman of the Governors Forum, Her Excellency Bisi Adele Fayemi. Thank you very much. Representing the National Assembly, the essay to the Senate President on Gender, I'd like to welcome Fatima Zara Umar, please, to come up and be seated as well on the panel. And finally, we invite the chairman, FIDA, representing Civil Society Reference Group here today in the person of Lady Rhoda Prevail Theodan, please, to come up and be seated for this panel and the conversation and discussion on the state of GBV and implementation of commitments. Implementation of commitments. Please, thank you very much. Lady Rhoda, you're welcome. Thank you. So welcoming all our distinguished panelists. My name is Daya Benjamin Slani, and I am going to be moderating what is going to be a very direct engagement with the conversation, the questions, your responses, and coming from your personal storyboard at the level of executive engagement that every one of the distinguished capacities here represent. So I shall begin with Her Excellency, Mrs. Fayemi. Welcome, Madam. And Your Excellency, my first question is, what are your successes in the past 1 year? And what are your plans in looking at the strategic direction and resetting of this experiential project? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, the Honorable Ministers, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen present, my dear sister, Her Excellency, the First Lady of Kebbi State, good afternoon to you all. I bring you warm greetings from my colleagues, wives of governors. I am the chair of a group that got together last year, and we decided to do something around gender-based violence. And the group is called Nigerian Governors' Wives Against Gender-Based Violence. We have the Nigerian Governors' Wives Forum, which I chair, and we have different issues that we are concerned about. So last year, when issues around GBV came to the fore because of what we were experiencing during the COVID-19 lockdown, we felt it would be a good idea to pay specific attention to what was happening around GBV. And so we put a call out to ourselves to ask who would be interested in working on these issues. We started out as a group of 12, and as I speak, every single governor's wife is now invested in being a part of this effort to ensure that we do something around gender-based violence. The first thing we did as a group when we came together in June last year was to write a communique to our husbands, the governors, adding our voices to the call for a state of emergency on gender-based violence. And fortunately, our husbands agreed to this state of emergency. Now, our own understanding of having a state of emergency on a particular issue is that it is an opportunity to drive attention to the issue, to bring it to the front burner. It is a matter of prioritization, and it is a matter of directing the required resources, financial, human, technical, and material. And it is also a question of strong political will and leading by example. When the governors made that declaration around the state of emergency, there was the understanding that they will go back to their different states and accelerate legislation around gender-based violence and ensuring that all the systems and structures that need to be in place are done. I'm pleased to note that months after, a lot has been achieved. At the time the state of emergency was declared last year, only 13 states, roughly 13 states, had domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. As of today, there are at least 20 states who have domesticated the VAP Act. And we know that more are in the pipeline, and we'll see more before the end of the year. As Nigerian Governors' Wives Against GBV, we have developed an action plan. And we are using this action plan to develop work within our own states based on our own context. So our action plan covers areas such as access to justice, treatment, care, and protection of GBV survivors, the issue of education and orientation for prevention, community ownership, and the need for GBV coordinating mechanisms. The Interministerial Committee on Sexual and Gender-Based Violence is a federal task force. It's a coordinating mechanism. But we also need something like that at state level as well for the implementation of the laws. So in terms of moving forward, what we would like to see is more support in ensuring that these state initiatives and structures are able to function effectively, the state coordinating mechanisms, and also the resources we need for treatment and care, such as the shelters and the sexual assault referral centers. We now have at least 17 sexual assault referral centers across states in the country, but we also have states who do not have a SAC at all. So while on the one hand, we have some states who have been lucky enough to have up to 5 sexual assault referral centers, there are some states that don't have even one. So I would like to recommend that our donor partners, federal government and state government, prioritize the need for every single state in Nigeria to have a sexual assault referral center and to have a shelter. And also to support the work that we are doing as governors' wives, as well as the many civil society organizations who are working on these issues, trying to get messages across at community level. Because without community ownership, nothing is going to be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please, I'm certain we can do much better in terms of applauding the success report and scorecard of this initiative starting in June 2020 and coming to a place where in Driving for Change, you've gotten a communique to the husbands, action plans, and moving through that interstate regeneration, as it were, of the call, of the need, and the expression of this core emergency function through the sexual assault referral centers. It's time to prioritize the need and to make it visible. Voices are being amplified. Thank you, Your Excellencies. Well, I'll come back to you, but right now, let me ask the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, Madam Your Excellency, Dame Pauline Talon. This challenge, without any question, is one that you have addressed as a champion for women and the Nigerian woman and her challenges. What are your success stories in the past 1 year with the GBV, and in moving forward, what is the clear path of engagement, not just for the Honorable Minister and her ministry, but in terms of bringing Nigerian women to the fore of engaging at their own places of community leadership?
Thank you very much, Dio. Your Excellencies, the wife of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by Dr. Hajasani, the Attorney General and Honorable Minister for Justice, and Chair of the Ministerial Committee, the Honorable Minister of State, Budget and Planning, wives of governors, and in particular, the Chair of the Governors Forum, and also the Chair of Wives of Governors concerned about gender-based violence. Our own BC Irelu, I salute your courage and your commitment to this cause. I salute and celebrate the EU Ambassador, my dear brother and friend, and the entire EU family and the UN family for the Spotlight Initiative and their commitment to support Nigeria in all its ramifications as regards this deadly crime of rape and gender-based violence. Your commitment and your resilience to this is very clear. You will recall last year, during the spike of COVID-19, gender-based violence escalated above 3-4 times of what we've always had. Gender-based violence has always been there, but with coming of COVID-19, the situation went out of proportion. I cried out to Mr. President and submitted a memo where the President and all members of Council supported it and approved it, and thereby immediately put in place the Interministerial Committee chaired by my brother, the Attorney General, and co-chaired by myself. The same day, on the 10th of June, that day was significant, was also the day I met with all governors under the able leadership of my brother, the chairman of the Governors Forum, Governor Fayemi. And again at that meeting, I cried out my heart to them, and I said there is no state that I don't receive very high reports of an escalating number from my commissioners across the 36 states, including FCT. And we therefore need their urgent intervention. The governors instantly supported this move, and on the spot, they agreed and declared a state of emergency. That state of emergency calls for all the commitment my sister has mentioned, but the political will of Mr. President after this presentation of my memo was very clear. Mr. President openly came out and made a statement of his zero tolerance to gender-based violence. The wife of the president came out and lent her voice. The vice president lent his voice. The Senate president, the speaker, all of them lent their voice. In the history of Nigeria, we've never seen so much political will as it concerns gender-based violence. We were able to achieve that. There and then again, with what the governors did, their wives, under the able leadership of Irelu, formed their coalition of concerned women against gender-based violence, and we've been working closely with them. They've shown commitment and have been monitoring through my state commissioners. Most and almost all our governors' wives, particularly the members of this coalition of concerned wives of governors, have shown tremendous commitment. What we need more is to continuously drum and intensify advocacy. Advocacy by lending our voice and condemning all forms of violence against women and our girls. Not just girls, even the boys are being raped. We've created so much awareness, and people are coming out to speak. We've received reports in almost all the states. Here in Abuja, people come out now to speak. And we follow up the cases. Mr. President summoned the Attorney General on my plea to address him on gender-based violence and for him to ensure that all his various states commissioners and all his staff, particularly those concerned about handling gender-based violence, take it all more seriously. The Interministerial Committee, from the report and the speech of the Attorney General clearly states how committed we are. The Minister of Budget, Minister of State Budget, and all the other ministries that are concerned, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education, Health, name it, all the ministries that are involved. We formed various subcommittees, and all the committees are working hard. We've launched the data situation room, the data collection tool for gender-based violence last year in my ministry, and we are recording a lot of success because people are speaking out, people have shown so much awareness. We've also mobilized and encouraged youths to be champions within their communities. Young ladies and young men to be champions to protect the female ladies within their communities. That has yielded so much result. I've also reached out to community leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, who are lending their voice now more in condemning it and in exposing those perpetrators of this deadly act. With the celebration of this year's International Women's Day, Women in Leadership, #IChallenge. I call on all well-meaning Nigerians, and I challenge each one of us to raise our voices, to condemn all forms of violence against women and girls. All forms of violence, not just rape, and we have so many kinds of violence against women. FGM, female genital mutilation, is another horrible act which I commend UNFPA for supporting us very well. All the states that you have pilot programs, we are working closely with UNFPA to address this deadly crime against women and girls. It is not just the responsibility of the Spotlight Initiative or the Interministerial Committee or wives of governors and governors. It is a human rights issue. It is a social problem that everyone must join hands for us to fight. If we all raise our hands and say no to gender-based violence, to encourage people to speak out and to expose perpetrators, we will have a better and healthier society. Awareness is being created. We are still intensifying that, and we are following up all cases.
Thank you.
With the police and the courts. I also want to commend FIDA for the support they've been given. It's quite significant because there are so many silent issues within our rural areas that our civil society organizations and FIDA is championing and leading it. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With a round of applause for Her Excellency, Honorable Minister for Women Affairs. And yes, she has spoken not just as the Honorable Minister, she has spoken as a passionary, and one that has clearly taken this on as a flame that needs to continue burning until it absolutely and totally consumes everything of its contrary presentations. Yes, indeed. From 10th of June, the government forum, the cry went out, and the hard cry from the outcry has become the first ever in her own reference example of political will set against and for change, for a cause of concern and national advocacy. The clarion call is here, and the cause and the challenge is one that brings everyone to a place of doing not just something, but everything you can to make it happen for a legacy of change for everyone. Well, I always say responsibility is responsibility in action. And that response, I would like, coming from the Honorable Minister for Budget and Planning, Prince. As Minister for Budget and Planning, what are your 3 ministerial areas of focus for translating this initiative into one that is not just funded and budgeted for, but has the critical interventions being articulated with the necessary speed of critical intervention? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. My dear colleagues, Your Excellencies, and all those who support us with the Spotlight Initiative, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You can see that I'm the only man sitting here. I would say that I am blessed amongst women. When you were asking the question, I listened carefully and I could hear issues around resources and budgeting. For me, I am trying to change the narrative that the focus for all of us should not be budget. The focus should be planning. It is only when you have planned and you look at the programs and the projects that you want to do that you now begin to talk about budgets that would flow from those plans. So the main focal point for me is planning. And with issues that are related to girl child, women, what we have done with the successor plan to the ERGP, and also with the economic sustainability plan, is to ensure that we have created a technical working group solely dedicated to the issues of the girl child and the women, because of the importance that this administration places on women issues. And to underscore that, in terms of the institutional arrangements that has been approved by Mr. President for the medium-term national development plan and the perspective long-term plan, which is the Nigeria Agenda 2050, you find that of the co-chairs that lead the steering committee, one is a lady. In fact, the central working group is also led by a woman. And there are several technical working groups that are also led by women. So what is left for us as we are working on these plans is to get the costed programs and projects from the various ministries, because the issues around the girl child or women, they are cross-cutting. And we want to have those costed plans and programs and projects imputed and embedded in the next national development plan so that the budgets will now begin to be drawn from there. The other main focus area is the budget itself. And our focus, first and foremost, is to ensure early submission of budgets, is to ensure that the budgeting process is participatory, that citizens are engaged, and also to return the Nigerian budget cycle to a January to December cycle. And I'm proud to say that this administration has changed that for the first time since 1999. The 2020 budget was signed into law by Mr. President December 17, 2019. And in 2020, when we had the pandemic, first it started with a health pandemic, and then it snowballed into being pandemics within pandemic. We had to review the 2020 budget itself. Again, very quickly, that was put in place. also signed by Mr. President, and we are running that budget. We have repeated that same feat with the 2021 budget. If we hadn't, then the 2020 budget would have just been a chance outing. But you know that sustainability, of course, is always a key to everything that you're doing. So we are proud that even in 2021, we've been able to repeat that same feat. But in doing those budgeting, we have also ensured that we've adequately provided for issues to deal with the girl child and the women. The third area of focus for me is that of strengthening our monitoring and evaluation department. That's the National Monitoring and Evaluation. Because what is not monitored is not done. And I've had to take the bull by the horn to take the lead. In the last 1 month, I have personally been going around the country to see for myself the various projects that we are funding, the programs that we are funding, with a view to ensuring that they are being done, not only just being done, but that it is quality work that is being done. So basically, those have been the three focal areas: planning, budgeting, and the national monitoring and evaluation. And I think I may also use this opportunity to say that with our national monitoring and evaluation, we want it to go beyond just the ministry. We want Nigerians and those who live in Nigeria to help us monitor and evaluate those projects. And one way that we are trying to do this is the use of technology. So we are currently developing a web app, which we have christened the iMac. The iMac software or program is supposed to be a geospatial technology which Nigerians can use, and they can actually take pictures of projects that are ongoing in the different parts of the country. We've tried to build integrity into that app by ensuring that every picture that you take will come with a latitude and longitude, so that we are very sure of the location of that project. Government, you know, usually we earmark by budgeting, but the most essential part of it is what is done. And we want the citizens, not the government, to be the ones telling us what has been done and whether it's of good quality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prince Clement. Thank you very much, our Honourable Minister for Budget and Planning. And just like we've heard him stated clearly, the focus is planning, not budget. However, the budget format is fully embraced in its adequacy, addressing each one of the issues and emphasizing the need for creating a fully robust technical working group dedicated to translating all of these issues to a transformative pattern of change. Yes, technology is critical to mapping crisis, and I would say in terms of intervention, not just for projects, but also for tracing and tracking challenges that exist in our geopolity and in the space that clearly now is being recomposed and reset with the national issues that have come to the front. So yes, it's the GBV. Thank you very much. Once again, please, a round of applause. Let's appreciate the Honourable Minister. Thank you for being such a committed, I know the more commonly expressed parlance is our he for she on this panel, but not just that. You're in a safe place, and we know that it takes a team, gender-wise, to make every gender dream project work. Men working with the women and bringing to the fore also what works for national integration, both for the girl child and the boy child. As we heard the Honourable Minister say, some of these gender violence issues are not just targeted at young girls, they're also now clear cases of young boys, of men also being challenged with this. So it's an all-round perspective and one that gives us cause to follow through. I'd now like to ask this next question, to direct this question to the representative from the office of His Excellency the Senate President on Gender, Fatima Zara Umar. There's so much when it comes to this discussion and, of course, this panel conversation around non-discriminatory laws and all of the very critical area and need of a legal vigilante, let me put it, instituting a legal vigilante from the reference of our National Assembly and all of the very clear representations from our local governments, from community space, at that level of governance and executive intervention. What is the office of the Senate President on gender doing specific, not just to alleviating, but addressing this call and this cry that clearly has come to a place of national focus and convergence? Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to stand on existing protocol. The gender office, primarily when we came to office, the first thing we did was to do a legislative review and look at the legislations that need improvement to reflect, a more gender-friendly legislation. We've done a review of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. There's also the amendment of the Child Rights Act. And of course, I have to put it as a caveat that legislation isn't express. It's not a la carte. It takes a while. It takes a while. There are certain also cultural sensitivities that you have to appease. There are also other political sensitivities that you have to appease. So the review is still ongoing. We're hoping to see, before the end of our term, we're hoping to achieve a more gender-responsive legislative regime. So for instance, we want to go beyond just passing legislation, but ensuring enforcement through oversight functions of the National Assembly, which I think, is the primary problem of this country. We are not so bad when it comes to passing laws, but the issue is enforcement. So for instance, one of the issues we've had, and thank God it's now getting better, when we came, one of the issues we had with the VAP was that the jurisdiction was limited to the Federal Capital Territory. But I'm so happy to say that we have about 21 states right now that have domesticated it. Though some states have also, they have their own versions, but it's largely the same legislation. Hopefully, like I said, it's not something we can say, okay, we're going to do this in 3 months, we're going to do this in 4 months. But we're trying to review and see that there are harsher punishments for offenses relating to gender-based violence. And then we are also trying to build strategic relationships with the partners in the field to see where do we come in, how can we help, how can we, how can we help their own efforts in the field. Let's not just leave civil society on their own. Also, one of the things that's ongoing at the National Assembly right now is the constitutional review process, which, as some of us here already know, the present constitution as it is not really gender-friendly. There are so many issues, and it's so bad that things as fundamental as a woman's citizenship are not so clear-cut. So this is also something that we're pursuing. It's top of the agenda for us when it comes to constitutional amendment, that our place is solid in our constitution, and that our rights can be protected and enforced under the present constitution that we have. So that's basically a summary of what we are doing at the National Assembly to complement the efforts of our able ministries and ministers, especially my mommy, Dame Pauline Talen. She's always fighting me to move.
I'm certain.
And I really appreciate, all the support that we've gotten from the executive and also from members of civil society. It's not something, that we can do in a day, but, we'll take steady progress.
All right, thank you very much, Fatima. Yes, I'm going to have them clap for you, but I don't want to say not so easy, but I just want to come to you with something.
Yes, ma'am.
Considering we know you don't have the numbers when it comes to the women in the National Assembly, but what is being done as a concerted effort to bring the women, our elect lady senators, and also in the House of Reps, into this movement as a convergence that strengthens you? That's one. And in terms of that application, how are you connecting that, for instance, to the powerhouse of the wives of governors? I know I'm not being fair here. I don't expect you to do, but I would just like to push that in your direction.
Okay.
And while doing that, say that we're all here for you and with you.
Yes.
But then I do know that with Her Excellency Dame Pauline Talon, it is a critical area, and we'd just like to know, please tell us what's being done.
I'm going to answer this as a politician, not as the
No problem.
Senate President.
You must be politically correct.
I have the permission to do so.
Yes.
As a politician, Mommy and I, Dame Pauline Talon, are part of the All Progressives Congress, and there has been a concerted effort within the Congress itself to see how we can push more women as candidates and then subsequently as legislators. It's one of the most painful things for me personally to work in a National Assembly that has, 7%? Less than 7%, where out of 100, yes ma'am, out of 189 countries, I think we're 187 or so when it comes to gender parity in legislative representation. So it feels like, it feels like a slap on our face, because we know so many capable women, and we know so many women that ran. It will interest you to know that in the 2019 elections, we recorded, a record number of women contesting for elective positions, the highest we've ever seen in this country. Yet in the results, we didn't win the elections. So there's a problem. There's a disconnect. Why are people not voting for these women who we think, are capable and who we think should be there? So one of the issues, again, is that women are not as financially capable to run for elections as men are. Two, it's always easier for the power brokers to choose someone who they feel is better. Before you see a woman who can stand her own, she can really stand her own in those circles.
Okay.
So the problem is actually outside the National Assembly. It's more of our political culture that needs to be fixed. We have to mainstream gender. We have to mainstream women in leadership and legislative positions in our political culture.
All right. Fatima, I completely concur with that. Thank you very much. And if you listen to...
Dayo, let me just add
oh my goodness.
Yeah. The other question you also posed to her about getting...
Yes, how are they actually working on this subject? How are they handling it?
Yeah. All the female elected members, both House of Reps and Senate, they are members of the Constitutional Review.
Yes.
All right,
but they are too few. How many of them? Less than 5%.
Okay, maybe this is another discussion.
The problem to fix and change the narrative is amending our party constitution. We must have women in the National Working Committee because that is the starting point. Until we have women there, getting them to participate as candidates will be a mirage.
Yes.
All right.
Because it's not that women were not voted for. Women were denied being candidates. They waved them off during the primaries. And because women are not in the party structure.
And let me just quickly add, sorry,
just I just say, you know what is happening? I'm beginning, this is, I know I start, it's going from GBV to the GPF, Gender Political Factor, which is, interestingly enough, His Excellency Ambassador Ketel Carlson had, taken time to...
But I think it's also part of our discussion.
No, it's also part of this.
And I think also it's part of, what we do at the National Assembly. So for instance, yes, I'm happy to report that the All Progressives Congress has initiated a constitutional review process, which is ongoing. But also, if you want to see gender-friendly change, there has to be gender diversity in our parliament. I cannot achieve a lot of things because I only have 7 senators out of 108 to work with.
Okay, but right now you're on a panel where we're all sitting with you, and the lady seated next to you, yes, indeed, talking about the role of civil society in the GBV response and talking to Rhoda Theodore. You are going to tell us, I mean, we've had a veering into the GPF, the gender political, I should even call it GPR, refactorization. But let's look first at the GBV. What is the role of civil society in terms of that response? And then you can kind of make reference to what clearly has evolved here on this platform of conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rhoda.
Thank you very much. I stand on the already established protocol. I'm Rhoda Theodore, National President of FIDA Nigeria, one of the civil society organizations, and I represent the CSOs here. The role of civil society organization in the fight against violence against women and ending violence against women cannot be overemphasized. It is critical. The role they play is critical. And civil society organization provide critical foundation for accountability on the part of government and state actors. We hold government and state actors responsible. And we've been talking about ending violence against women and children. Thank God we have the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. It took the civil society organization of Nigeria, a coalition of legislative advocacy against violence against women, about 14 years for the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act to be passed. It kept being thrown away, but we never gave up until it was passed. So the role there is critical. And after the passage of the VAP Act, like the lady from SA to the Senate President said, it is operational in FCT, but the civil society organizations took it upon itself again to push for the adoption of the VAP Act in the states of the Federation. Before 2020, we had less than 13 states, just like the First Lady said. Civil society organizations have been the ones in the forefront with the assistance of developing partners to push for the adoption of this law in these states that have finally adopted it. And it took the amplified voices of the CSO for government to come out and declare a state of emergency. And that was at the spike, with the spike of SGBV cases last year. And that was when government came out, the Governors Forum came out to declare a state of emergency on SGBV. And the wives of the governors also came out because CSOs were on the street protesting, talking about it, and calling on government to do something. We appreciate the effort. It paid, and a presidential task force was also set up. And with that, we saw about 7 states quickly rush back to their states and adopted the VAP Act. And going back to those states, you still find the CSOs at work to ensure that they hold these governors accountable to what they say they will do. And it brought about 20 states now who have adopted the VAP Act. Yes, we have the VAP Act, but what about implementation? We don't want the VAP Act to just decorate our archives. Civil society organizations, again, have taken it upon themselves. They are doing a lot of awareness creation, education, sensitization, and insisting on committees to be set up to effectively implement the VAP Act. So the civil society organization are defenders of human rights, of both the vulnerable in society, people living with disabilities, women and girls. So they have been pushing for the enactment of gender-neutral laws, and the VAP Act is one. And the Child's Rights Act, which was domesticated way back in 2003. You'll be surprised to know that about 10 states have not adopted the Child's Rights Law. And then you wonder what is happening to children in those states. And even with the states that have adopted, how far have we gone? How effective are they being implemented? The CSOs have been in the vanguard to push for effective implementation of these laws. And apart from that, we also have the communities to educate. It is one thing to have a law. Do the people know about the existence of these laws? That is key to civil society organizations, because they have to know that there is a law that protects their rights for them to come out to ask for a redress. So the civil society organizations, again, have been going to community levels, educating people on the existence of these laws and the provisions. Some have even simplified the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act and using it as a sensitization tool in schools, of course, with assistance from our development partners. And UNSI, the Spotlight Initiative, is helping out, and we are pushing for gender-responsive budgeting. Because when you say you should prosecute SGBV, how do we go about it? Most of the survivors of SGBV are the very poor in communities and in society. And that is one of the reasons why when they are affected, or when they are violated, or when they are raped, or whatever it is, they rather just leave it to God, as they will say, because cost of litigation is expensive, except and only when civil society organizations come to their aid. So we're advocating for an establishment of sexual gender-based fund, which should be manned maybe by Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. Unless and until funds is provided for this SGBV, we may not see an end to it. We have the sexual assault referral centers. Yes, they are there. But how many people know about them? And how effective are they? I'm happy with the Attorney General who has left. He reeled out quite a number of proactive measures that have been put in place. We want to go beyond rhetorics. We want to see action. Most of these proactive measures that said are in place, are they in place in the states? We still have states that have not adopted the VAP Act, states that have not adopted the Child's Rights Law. We have the National Gender Policy. What is happening to it? So these are all areas that the civil society organization is looking at, and we are still struggling to see that they are matched with action. Some states have taken proactive steps, and we see how well they are doing in fighting sexual gender-based violence. I'm happy to say, and I always say it, Ekiti State is a model state when it comes to fighting SGBV, because they have quite a number of proactive measures. Every week, you see the face of a perpetrator. And of course, naming and shaming should be it. So how many states have the sexual offenders register? We have to match action match our words with action. And that is what the civil society is advocating for. And apart from that, we have the CEDAW, that is Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. It is one legislation that is very comprehensive, very, very comprehensive. Nigeria is a state party who ratified it way back in 1985. But where are we? I remember even as early as 2019, somebody tried to move for the domestication of CEDAW, but it was torn down. So until we begin to match action with our words and take real proactive measures, we may not see the end of violence against women and girls. So the civil society organizations are happy that we have very proactive ministers that are working. The Minister for Gender and Budgeting is here, and we are clamoring for gender-responsive budgeting. We have Women Affairs here. She has been in the forefront. She has been leading us in the fight against ending violence against women, and we have our development partners here. Talking about what my sister sitting next to me is talking about, politically, the CSOs, especially the feminist group, have come together to go to court to challenge and ask for the interpretation of the Constitution, because our Constitution says we, the people of Nigeria, we prohibit any form of discrimination against anybody, whether man or woman, whether person living with disability. So what are we doing? And then we're also challenging that the Electoral Act should be amended. And that way, it will make way for more women to participate in politics. And for goodness sake, politics in Nigeria is known to be very violent. And that is why most women stay out. They keep off. Even the men will say, where are you going? What about the children? So it has to be made conducive for women to participate. So the feminist group have also gone to court to challenge the provisions of the law. We have seen electoral reform committees set up in time past, coming up with very laudable, gender-neutral recommendations. But where are we today? So the civil society organizations are the watchdog, and we are watching, and we are pushing. We'll continue to talk the talk until we walk the talk.
Thank you very much. Lady Rhoda Prevail Theoden. And this year it's all about the hashtag Choose to Challenge. And what is your challenge? And that's your last word. I'm taking it, starting with you, Rhoda. Could you please just face camera and just say, hashtag Choose to Challenge. I challenge, and make a statement. I'm going to bring it all the way till we come to that.
I should say something before that?
Yeah, just say it. No, that's your last word, because it's the wrap. We can continue with these conversations, but right now the throw is simply there's a challenge, and it's with us, and you choose to challenge what?
Yes, I choose to challenge the status quo.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, Lady Fatizara, over to you. Your hashtag.
I choose to challenge discrimination.
No, please, could you just do that and make it up there? Thank you.
Okay. I choose to challenge gender-based discrimination.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause as we come to each challenge and the challenger. Yes, sir. Prince.
Is it a challenge you want or a word?
Just your challenge, and that is your last word. So as you make it a statement, it is the challenge that goes out with your hand.
I challenge the women to support the women, because I see that as a problem.
That's a good one. That's a great one. That's a good one. All right then, Honorable Minister. Man.
I challenge all forms of violence against women.
I challenge all public institutions in Nigeria to adopt their own version of the state of emergency.
And I bring to the place of challenge the voice that makes challenge our true change. Thank you. For every one of my distinguished and eminent panelists, please a round of applause for them. We'd like to please ask you to please rise and take a photograph just right there. Thank you. Well, the challenge is for one, it's for all, but the most important and powerful thing about any challenge is the power of the challenger. Whatever it is that we are faced with as a challenge, we rise as champions, and in the place of facing that which we face as champions, let us never forget it takes a choice for that decision and a cheerleader
for us to keep going on. So let's stay in the place and power of our cheerleading positions as champions of true change for the now. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, all of the presents. Please let's appreciate the Honorable Minister for Budget and Planning even as he leaves. Sir, we hear you. It's the plan before the budget. And right now we're going to please request that the video of Her Excellency, the First Lady, right now be played with her message for this GBV response and our statement as a nation from Her Excellency, the First Lady, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
In Nigeria today, 1 in 4 girls has experienced at least one form of sexual violence before the age of 18.
With a population of over 160 million, with half being women, and half of these women under the age of 24, that is, over 10,000 girls being abused daily.
the way women are treated. The high rate of gender-based violence is very bad for our country.
It is our collective responsibility to ensure that all women and young girls are free from all forms of gender-based violence, especially rape and sexual violence. We promise to sensitize parents.
We promise to advocate for laws and policies against gender-based violence.
To work with religious and traditional leaders.
We promise to advocate for treatment, care, and protection of gender-based violence survivors.
Let us all work together to eradicate gender-based violence in Nigeria. We promise to use our voices to demand for a society free of gender-based violence. Enough is enough.
Thank you. Thank you. Another round of applause. Let's appreciate Your Excellencies, wives of governors from all over the country, and that which today here with the leadership of Her Excellency Mary Fayemi is clearly not just an indication but a clear statement of the force of commitment and differentiation that they are bringing. Let us never forget that we are here at such a time as this, both in nation and in the place of national assignment, to give the one thing we can give, and that is our authentication in the process and place of our leadership opportunities. So please, another round of applause for the First Ladies from the States and their voices as a force of one for all. Yes, indeed, it's a social problem that needs a socially motivated and integrated solution. And those solutions will come in innovative ways that don't just reinvent, they reset, as it were, the outline of commitments and the articulation of those commitments through socially engaging projects, initiatives, competitions, creativity. And that is exactly what the EU and the UN have done. I'm first going to present the video competition of the EU that today now profiles 6 winning entries out of 685 entries that came in for this competition. But I'm not going to tell you the story. The happily ever afters we're going to see, but what is fundamental, we are about to hear from the ambassador himself, Ketil Carlson. And like I say, when you change a narrative, you need a narrator. Here comes the distinguished narrator and the story of the film. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dayo. And for me, I think the vital thing is to hear the voice of those that created the videos. What really stands out when you come to Nigeria as a foreigner is how young and dynamic and creative this country is. And we do a lot of events of this nature, but we must never forget to hear the voices of those citizens, the youth, and the victims as well that we talk about. And that is exactly what this video competition is about. So I hope you will receive very well the winners today. And I do want to take the opportunity to thank as well Stephanie Okereke-Linus, a very good friend to many of us, of course, Ms. Omoni Oboli, Bright Obina as well as the representatives of the Ministry of Women's Affairs, of the United Nations, and the British Council that helped selecting these winners today. So please enjoy the videos. Thank you very much.
As any act and is based on gender norms, but I define sexual and gender-based violence as a breach of trust. Trust in humanity, trust in the gender, trust in yourself. You see, I had never met him before that day, never seen him, and only spoke to him because he had taken something that belonged to me. I begged him to return it, and when he said yes, I trusted him to, because why shouldn't he? He asked that I reward him for keeping my stuff, and I agreed because I really needed it back. On the agreed date, he made me walk around until it was dark just to conceal his identity, and I truly didn't care what he looked like, not until I saw him. He had a hoodie over his head and a mask over his face to eliminate any chances of me ever identifying him outside of that place. I wasn't scared. I gave him the money I had brought and thanked him for keeping my stuff. And then he asked me a question. Are you a virgin? I gave him the money and said, thank you. Please, can I have my stuff now? And he asked me, are you a virgin? I wondered what my virginity had to do with my property, but that wasn't the place to ask questions, so I just said yes. He said I was lying, and when I maintained that I wasn't, he said, well, there's always a first time. I was disgusted and disappointed, but not surprised, because that was not the first time I had met someone like that. In that moment, I was completely deserted, even by my tear glands, and so I had to fake tears just to provoke some sort of empathy or sympathy from him. In the end, he had his way, and as I walked back to my room under the rain, I was thinking, maybe this couldn't have happened if something else had happened. Maybe if we trained our kids to respect other people's bodies more, it may not have happened. Maybe if we listened to survivors before judging them, then it may not have happened. Maybe if we had a just justice system, then it may not have happened. Or maybe it may have happened, even if all of these things had happened. But it would have made dealing with it a lot easier. So, do you believe my story?
No, I don't want to anymore.
Ha! His fans will drag you on social media.
He said I should close my eyes and begin to pray. Then he touched me.
Ha!
Blasphemy. Daddy, please, I don't want to.
Keep quiet! How dare you accuse your father?
Uncle, please.
How can you say your uncle did that?
He told me I know what to do if I'm on the road.
They will blacklist you.
Oga, I beg, madam, go kill me, I beg.
Shut up! Are you saying my husband touched your dirty, smelling body?
Uncle, I don't want the mineral and biscuit again.
Boys will always be boys.
Husband or not, he raped me.
You know, say a man will be. Eh?
Please stop. I said stop.
But what were you wearing, Steph?
My dear, you would have to keep quiet and keep it in the family. Or else,
I will not be quiet. I am a girl child. It is not a crime. I will not be afraid. I will not shut up. I will use my voice. I will speak. I will scream. Until the world hears me.
EA says every girl must pass through this rite to become a woman. It is tradition, and girls who go through it are clean, beautiful, and become real women.
It is time.
Can I play with them? Just once more.
No, you are no longer like them. Today you become a woman.
I don't want to do this.
Don't worry. You won't see it.
The last time EA prepared someone for this rite, it was my sister, Osayi. I remember Osayi telling me what it is like. She said it is like a journey to hell and back, even though none of us has been there before. A part of her was cut away. She never got better. She died. EA said it is God's will.
Okay? Don't worry, it will be quick.
I don't want to be like Osayi. What if I have a choice?
You know, choice isn't one of the luxuries that we don't want.
To be a woman, but I also want to be able to make choices.
Sexual harassment, physical violence, verbal abuse, child marriage, female genital mutilation, harmful traditional practices, public harassment, forced marriage, rape. These are some of the most prevalent sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. Any act that is perpetrated against someone's will because of their gender, an equal power relationship that results in physical, sexual or psychological harm or suffering is considered as SGBV. The Nigeria Demographical Health Survey 2013 indicates that 28% of women in Nigeria have experienced some form of physical or sexual violence. That number is higher today and affects both women and men as well. Sadly, SGBV happens where people are supposed to be safe the most, which is their home, their community, and even their worship places. It happens with people we are supposed to be saved around. The uncle that decides to rape a child, the husband that beats up his wife, the mother that abuses and humiliates a child under her care, the security officer that takes advantage of people he is meant to protect, the teacher who forces a student to commit a sexual act against her will to get grades. The list goes on and on. No matter who you are, no matter where you live, SGBV is never acceptable. If you're experiencing SGBV and even suspect it, please take action by speaking up and break the culture of silence. Our government and traditional rulers must begin to challenge the harmful traditional norms that encourages SGBV while ensuring victims get access to justice. Sexual harassment.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Have your hands not enough blood on them for you to repent? I watched you every single time you hit my mother. You kicked her like a ball and stepped on her like a roach till she bled. You were like a vulture, ever ready to feast on her corpse. I heard your manipulative words. How you taught her to believe that she was nothing. Stripped her of her self-confidence. Turned her entire family against her. And made her believe that she was not able to fend for herself or her child without you. You sucked her dry until she withered. Kind. You're a monster. No, Baba, she's gone and you're out for me. You tie me up and you torture me because you are 15 years old child, rebels to be married to an Alhaji old enough to be my grandfather. Haba, Baba. K. Abun Korea Nega Uba, you think you can manipulate me into satisfying your selfish desires by career, because my mother would turn in her grave forever give any man the power to abuse me. Yikarfi Amina, she said, be strong. And so I taught myself to fight and speak against this evil that you and your men perpetrate, Baba. And la ilah, if by some miracle I come out of here alive, Nahi al-Kawari, I'll teach the sons I will birth to love, respect and honor their women. And teach my girls to fight for their rights. Naran say, Ahurumi Mamana. But as for you, Baba, Allah ya Isa, Wana Sonka.
Woman, stop disturbing me with your ugly singing. You do nothing all day but sit, eat, and shit. You're just a waste. But my husband, what have I done to provoke you? I just hummed. What harm has that done to you? How dare you speak to me? You dare to speak to me when I talk? But my dear, I was just trying. I see you still feel you can interrupt me when I speak. Please, leave my mommy alone, leave her. Leave my mommy. Shut your damn mouth, boy. Please let him be. Shut him up or I will. Please keep quiet, my sweet child. I'm sorry, but Daddy never meant to hurt you. It's my fault. I never should have spoken back at you, Daddy. Forgive me, son. No son of mine will be so weak. Crying like a girl. Not my son. I'm sorry, my boy. I'm sorry, my boy. Please forgive me. Please forgive me, son. Don't listen to what your father has said. I'm sorry, my boy. Please forgive me. Please keep quiet.
Get in here, boy. The traditional format of a story is always once upon a time, and in Africa we respond time. But the end of it is always, and so they lived happily ever after. The happily ever after will depend on us. And the symbiosis of that is what this project, even as undertaken, sponsored, and creatively driven by the EU, has given the opportunity to 685 entrants to express themselves in a varied profiling of experiential stories. Today, 6 of those composers, creators, and curators, more particularly, of the experiential pain that tells the story of the GBV and challenging our response are here. I'd like to invite to please come up the brilliant creative producers, directors, composers of these videos, these 6 videos of the 685 entries that have come to this final classification for award and prizes. In no particular order, I would like to invite Twamsen Danan from Plateau State to please come up stage. David Nkwa from Abuja. Aimalohi Ojiamiren from Nasarawa State. And from Lagos State, we have 3 final winning entries with Doris Okori, Anita Abada, and Eboluwa Oluwarino. Oluwarino, you're welcome. And who do I have the pleasure of meeting? Is it Twansen? I shouldn't ask, actually. You are properly profiled as a distinctive Plateau stone. Welcome. And this is David Nkwa from Abuja. You're welcome. Sir. Oh, Salome, you're representing IMA. Okay, you're welcome. Doris Okorie from Lagos State. Anita Abada. Okay. Social distancing, please. Thank you very much. Great. So I trust the experience has been one you will never forget, but it's about to become even more so unforgettable. I'd like to invite Omoni Oboli to please come up. How did they come up with the final 6 to reference the winning entries out of 685? Come on, let's celebrate and welcome our distinctive Niger distinctive celebrity star. Omoni, always a pleasure.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm going to stand on all existing protocols. Can we please give another round of applause to these amazing young Nigerians? You people have no idea how difficult what they've done is. I'm a filmmaker myself. I know the work that goes into making film, no matter how short that film is. So a round of applause again for all of you. Amazing, amazing, amazing work. We had so many videos to judge. At a point I was like, why do they have to be that many? Oh my gosh, when are we ever going to be done? You know, but they were all so brilliant. It was not easy. I mean, I have one of the judges here. It wasn't easy picking the winners because we had so many really good content and we were looking out for so many things. In my journey as a filmmaker, I don't know if any of you are familiar with my films, the Wives on Strike series, and all of those films. I've unwittingly made films about gender-based violence, women empowerment, and that has sort of become my forte. You know, so when I saw all these amazing films by these young Nigerians, I was totally blown away. I mean, we're looking out as a filmmaker, obviously, for their cinematography skills, you know, for their editing, for their music score, for their sound effects. We looked out for all those things, but most importantly, we looked out for the core of the message. Did they understand what sexual and gender-based violence really is? Did they prefer any solutions? Because obviously it's one thing to talk about a problem, but we're looking for solutions, right? So we looked at for all those things, and I'm so happy and I'm so proud of all of you here today. Your movies, they are movies, your movies were outstanding. You guys did such an amazing job. Congratulations to everyone here. You're all winners. And of course, the sky is the starting place for all of you. Congratulations once again.
Are you ready? And set? And we're going to get the cameras rolling now. Thank you. So I'll be inviting Ambassador to please come up so that you can stand with your protégés even at the time of presentation. Thank you very much. So, I need a little more social distancing so that all the way down, keep going about like 5 steps each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, Omani, please could you stand with the ambassador just here? Thank you very much. Thank you. And in the 6th position, I have an animator, photographer, film director, documentary filmmaker, firm believer in human rights, loves to hear the stories that people tell, cherishes the experiences that come with meeting them. He has worked with JFP Films in collaboration with GIZ and the EU as a sound man on the 2nd part of their 2-part series, It Go Better, a microinsurance story, 2 documentary films, Plateau on the Move, and Rights is Our Business. 2017, he and his team were awarded a grant by the Franco-German Fund to make an animation film, which they titled Amira, and it screened at the AFRIF 2018 Animation Day. In August of 2019, he worked as camera operator in the TEDx event, TEDx Argungu at Kebbi State, Nigeria. Recently, his photographs were displayed at the Just Art Gallery online public exhibition titled Beautiful Chaos. and he is always open to collaborate on any creative venture. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in sixth position of distinctive creative expression is Twamsen Danan from Plateau. Please keep clapping, keep celebrating. Thank you very much. And here is All right, thank you very much. I would now also like to invite to join us up stage I'd like to invite, please, the Honourable Minister for Women Affairs and Their Excellencies, wives of the governors, to please come up stage to support this presentation of the prizes to our winning six. So, Chairman, could you please help me move in that direction? Yes, so thank you. And even as the Excellencies come up, I will read this next profile. A creative artist with a bias for poetry, spoken word, and visual storytelling, she is a 300-level student of law at the prestigious Babcock University in Ogun State, Nigeria. Strives to lend her voice to socio-political issues such as rape and sexual gender-based violence through her unique style of art in acting and poetry, in hopes of being a voice of comfort and assurance. Fifth position, Ebon Oluwa Renu, Mercy. Please let's welcome Ebon as she comes forward. She's not present here, but she is being represented. Thank you very much. Ebon Oluwa's representative, please. If she's not here immediately, I will move over immediately to the next. And in the fourth position, a multi-skilled, innovative professional with over 10 years real-world working experience, cutting across implementing international development programs, information technology operations, project management, procurement, protocol logistics, security risk analysis, and administrative support. An academic background in mathematics, computer science. He is ITIL 4 and Prince 2 certified by Excellence UK, and has been trained by the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS, and the Korean government agencies on procurement, business process reengineering, and e-government services. His major achievement in the government space includes playing a key role in the development of Nigeria's e-government master plan in 2015 and digitization of the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital Human Resource Record Systems, which he developed in 2011 during his NYSC, that is the National Youth Service Corps. He currently works as an IT specialist with the Foreign Government Development Agency, and through the active use of social media, has also created a thriving business called Wear Talks, a print-on-demand clothing brand. David Nwakwa is deeply passionate about creating films that share positive narratives about Nigeria, the African culture, and social change. He currently runs a YouTube channel as a platform to fulfill his passion. Above all else, David Nkwa is a Christian, a husband, and a dad. Yes, in fourth position, celebrating the winner for this GBV video is David Nkwa. Please, let's keep celebrating and applauding. Thank you.
You need to turn it around, though, and give it to the minister, maybe, to present it. Minister, will you do us the honor together with the First Lady?
No? All right, thank you. So, Honorable Minister, thank you. Thank you very much for assisting us to doing that. Thank you. In third position.
Would like to respectfully ask for the UN to please come up stage. Madam Ula, please, to come up stage. Thank you.
None of this could have happened without...
And none of this could have happened without the collaboration, not just with Madam Ula and her team, but with the lady in red, dappled red. And this third position winner is a Nigerian screenwriter, producer, and director, a polyglot with a degree in foreign languages, passionate about telling African stories. She knows who she is already. Third position is Anita Abada. Let's put our hands together for Anita as she comes forward. Founder and creator of One Flick Media, an entrepreneur, an entertainment communications and digital marketing hub, and a distinguished personality. Yes, today, congratulations to you, Anita. Make sure you put a big smile behind the mask. It always shows in the eyes. Please let's celebrate. In 2018, she won the award for Best Screenplay at Script to Screen Africa Reality TV Show for the short film, The Catalyst. In first and second position. Move forward. Thank you. You can stay here. And reflect on what you put together. The composition of the stories. The power of telling the tale as one that resonates as legacy. Who is going home with first position? Whoever it is, we know that a first reference has already come with your winning entry. So, we'd also like to invite to please come up Mrs. Cecile Tassin Pelzier, EU Head of Corporation. Please come up. Please let's welcome her and celebrate as she comes up. Well, they're both ladies, so it can only be a lady. She started as an actress, went into screenwriting, voiceover acting. She starred in a number of projects ranging from cinema to television to web. A commercial model. She starred in a number of adverts. I can keep going on, but right now, Doris Okorie, you are in second position for the winning entry for this SGBV. Congratulations, our distinctive lady in red. Yes, all the way from Ngokbala, Ihitokwe in Imo State. From a family of 7, parents of High Chief Steve Okorie and High Chief Letitia Okorie. She's the third of 5 children. Attended the University of Ibadan, great, where she studied English language, even greater, majoring in literature and English. These are your senior sisters. I went to UI, and that's my department. Come on, everybody, put your hands together. Help me appreciate. I'm an unbiased judge. Even then, I wouldn't have voted you above. Our number 1, without question, and she's not here, but her cousin is here to receive. I know. Sometimes I think if people aren't here to receive, we should let the second position take it. But right now, clearly, it's not about her being present, but her presence through the legacy of her creative and innovative composition in the video that she showed. Ayimolohi Ojemiren is a Christian creative writer, filmmaker, artist, and storyteller with a flair for documenting real stories. She's a mental health advocate and has brought together a team of young volunteers under the umbrella African Loudzit. She has gone on to work with organizations including Mentally Aware Nigeria Initiative and Maintenance to bring awareness to mental health related issues. She combines her skill in storytelling and art to create content that educate, inform, and entertain. Ima looks forward to working with many more young people to tell their stories in ways no one else can. Now, we watched all 6 together. Omoni, which one is Ima's work? So if someone could please show it so that we can all refresh and know just what the winning entry was. Do we all agree? I think we should, so we can all agree. Is this Ima's? It's number 1.
I gave him the money I had brought and thanked him for keeping my stuff. And then he asked me a question. Are you a virgin? I gave him the money and said, thank you. Please, can I have my stuff now? And he asked me, are you a virgin? I wondered what my virginity
I
had to do
understand
with
that
my
the
poverty.
filmmaker is the actor
But that wasn't
herself.
true to ask questions, so I just said yes.
And here we have the winning prize, and I'm going to give the ambassador an opportunity to tell us just what is in the box.
I was lost there at this point, yes.
Who knows what is in the box? This EU box for the first place you have? Oh, do you want to see it? I mean, I'm like, what's in the box? You don't know what's in the box.
Well, I know, but I will not be able to.
You will not tell us what is in the box. Could you please tell us again? Okay, I'm being told to tell us all that it is the Profile A Standard Gold Star Max PC. Please, let's put our hands together. Thank you, EU. And Ima, even though you're not here, thank you for your message and that expression. And over to you, the cousin. So you're here representing Ima today. What is your message?
I'm very grateful to the organizers of this program. I'm grateful to achieve this achievement in my life. I'm so happy for her, and on her behalf I say thank you and thank you and thank you.
Thank you, and thank you. What's your name?
Salome.
Your?
Salome.
Salome, what is your own dream? Just put your challenge up there and say, I choose to do what? What do you choose to do with your dream?
I choose to become a Nigerian woman that causes influence everywhere she goes.
Please put your hands together for Salome. I don't know why that happened. You won't just represent, you will become a true representation of this distinction. Thank you. So, there we have it. Anything else to say? First position is first position. A round of applause, please. And for all the winning entries, please come this way, everybody. And could the photographer please advise on the best way to position a socially distant group photograph? Thank you. Socially distanced full photograph, thank you. Notice how the ladies come with their handbags. This is really pretty. Did you know you were coming to pick up gifts? Yeah, because exactly. Okay, no problem. All right, we need you to hold. Yes. Your prize is up. Thank you. Put the handbags down. Thank you. Okay, and for photograph reasons, sorry, we shall move this. Don't worry, I shall put that. God is good. Have you hidden your bag?
Thank you.
The podium needs to move. You see, a photograph is a photograph, or it's not. Can we move the photo? Can we move this? Can someone please help me? Oh, madam, thank you. Yes. Does it look right? Some more? Is there some more? Some more. Does it look like the EU sponsored this? Kevin, I need you to come in the center, please. Sorry, sir, please. Okay, this is right at the center. Yes, could you please have it that way? Thank you very much. Is it properly balanced this way? Okay. One more person on that side. Okay, the guy this way. But you don't get to see Madame this way. Yes, so, good. I've put in all this effort to make sure you get the right shot. It must be a front page shot. Thank you. Oh, bright opener, please come up, come up. Put your hands together for producer. Thank you, was there with the jury. Oh, keep clapping, keep celebrating, thank you. He is the gentleman in red. I think, should he be on that side? Is it okay here? It should be the other side. I felt so too. Yes, sir. Now, the most important thing for everybody on stage, once you can see in there, they're seeing you. So just look there. And are we ready? Heads up, Amadi. Big smiles, please, because the eyes tell the stories.
A round of applause from everybody in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Congratulations. Get your bag. Don't worry, just come this way. We'll get your bag. Okay, give her her bag. Thank you very much. And next, we're moving on to the UN National Art Competition Sheroes, and there were approximately, thank you, okay. For the UN Art Competition, UNESCO that is, there were 659 entries with 239 paintings, 420 poems. Oh yes. 239 paintings and 420 poems. Of all of these entries, there are 10 winners in the painting and 10 winners for the poetry section. And now I shall be inviting to please come up stage I think we will start with the 10. Please excuse me, let me get my papers. Excuse me. Catherine. Well, before I go any further, I'd like to invite the country representative for UNESCO here present with us, So Mamadou Lamine, to please come up stage, sir, so that we can hear you do the intro. Please, a round of applause. Let us properly and robustly appreciate their intervention at the level of the UN family and hosted by UNESCO, this competition. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here to experience this important ceremony of handing over prizes to the very meritant people that worked very hard on those gender-based violence issues. So, on behalf of UNESCO, I would like to thank all the winners. So far, we had a ceremony in the UN House this morning. We had the opportunity to thank them and to reiterate the fact that we are in full support of what they are doing. So thank you again very much. It's really my pleasure to be here. And thanks to the representative of the government of the EU, the funding agency of these Spotlight initiatives. Thanks.
Okay, so we're now ready. Please, another round of applause. Appreciate UNESCO. 659 entries, personal stories on artboards and in the expression of the spoken word and poetry. And right now, I will begin with art or painting. Let me start with poetry. I'd like to call up all of the 10, except one who's not present, to please come up stage very, very quickly. In no particular order, Miss Akbanjin Chineme, Ganiyu Anyoniyi, Bashri Nosira Tolulokpe, Uzuamaka Agwoma. Please come up, smartly, quickly. Thank you. Let's keep clapping for them. Eboma Odegwa, Miss Ogwejofo Amaka, Jude Ifesemen, Adepisi Adeleke Uluwatosin, and Osunde Esosa. Are you all upstage? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very quickly, smartly, let's clap for them and appreciate them. Every one of them has given their expression in spoken word, in poetry, and like I said, it's creative innovation for the purpose of the GBV response in Nigeria. For the position of number 10, we would like to invite to be presented with his finalist prize, Mr. Ganiu Ayoni. Please, Ganiu, where are you? Stand forward. Thank you very much. Please, the prize. Please, could you please come up closer. And then, sir, you present. I think once again we're going to respectfully ask, please, if everybody could socially distance and kind of space all the way down. 3 steps each. 3 steps each. Thank you. You should be supported once again by Their Excellencies and the Honorable Minister. I have to please prevail on you so they do not feel like there was any form of social discrimination. Thank you. So please, would the mothers of Nigeria arise? The barometer right now requires that you stand. Thank you. So we can make the presentation. Honorable Minister, and to provide the right support as well, to show that as the UN supported the EU, someone from the EU should please come up and support. Exactly, so to stand with him. So please, could we have someone from the EU family? That's me. Is that you? Okay, then please come up and stand. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, thank you very much. Oh, okay. Your Excellency will come up with the Honorable Minister. And so for this first presentation, 10th position for poetry as an expression of art, Mr. Ganiu Ayoni, please a presentation for him. Congratulations. No, so just go on. That's it. So it's just to present to Her Excellency, and she would. The next position, 8th position actually, we'd like to invite Chineme Akpangana. Chineme Akpangana, please, the ushers. Thank you. In the 7th position, Nosirat Tolulope Basri. And in the 6th position, Uzoamaka Agoma. Miss Uzoamaka Agoma, please. Congratulations. In the 5th position, Odegwa, Miss F. Bwoma. Mrs., okay, I have an MS here, Mrs. F. Bwoma Odegwa. Congratulations, congratulations, that is 5th position. And in the 4th position, Amaka Ogwejofo. Mrs. Amaka Ogwejofo, please, let's celebrate and welcome her as she comes up. Thank you. Congratulations. In the 3rd position, I have Mr. Ifesemen Jude. Jude Ifesemen is here represented by Augusta. Augusta will be taking Jude's. Please, a round of applause. Let's appreciate, let's celebrate. This is out of 659 entries, please. So everyone here is a standing story of success. The last two, I'm going to invite together. Ms. Osunde Esosa and Mr. Oluwatosin Adebisi, could you please both stand forward and face
no longer the jury, but a celebration. Please can we celebrate both? Thank you. Now they're both supposed to present and say something before we give them their prizes. So very quickly, so you know very quickly what you have to say about the Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. The name of my poem is The Number Game. It follows the story of a woman who is trapped in the cycle of abuse. She's constantly beaten and belittled by her husband until she summons the courage to escape. Every day, we hear stories and we even know women who have been abused, raped, and harassed by the people that are supposed to protect them. Women all over the world know what it means like to live in fear. In my poem, I try to capture the truth that these survivors are not weak, they are not broken or damaged, and they definitely cannot be blamed for the abuse. They are so strong. In the number game, the woman who is abused sees herself as an extension of her husband's violence. She only begins to see herself as a full human being when she leaves. I use this to show how much abuse affects women. The mental repercussions are much more vast than the physical scars. Like this woman, survivors everywhere remind us of how important it is to never stop speaking out, to never stop talking about the statements and actions that create an environment where women can be abused. She reminds us of why educating people and implementing structures that counter gender-based violence is so important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that is Osunde, right? Assessor. And next is Oluwatosin Adebisi Adeleke.
Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. It's my pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate the privilege given to me. My name is Adeleke Adebisi Oluwatosin. I'm from Lagos State, a student of the University of Lagos. My poem is about, the title of my poem is What They Like Heroes. What They Like Heroes. In my poem, I capture the fact that the society is full of gender inequalities, and it is unfortunate that more of females suffer these abnormalities. Like a lot of females are enslaved in many situations, they are deprived of many top positions, maybe due to the fact that they don't have broad chest, they are shunned like an egg in a nest. In the society, there's a lot of lopsided policies in this society, and it's so unfortunate also due to the advent or the arrival of coronavirus. More of females have been subjected to female genital mutilation, and there is a lot of issues on ground in which the coronavirus has shifted the attention of the world away from the female. And of course, there is another issue of rape that females always face. And it's unfortunate also that few of this, or probably a little of these issues, are not adequately put into justice. And also, in my poetry, I explained the fact that women don't have to keep quiet. It is high time they come up. It is high time they speak up against this female and gender-based violence. And it is time that they show their sanity, and it's time they stopped caging their dignity. And it is high time female come up. It's high time the society stand against any form of gender-based violence. I would like to conclude with this, that no matter what, even though we start on the basis of heroes, female will still continue to be the deserving heroes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so there we have it, and the poet has spoken with poetic license. So from sanity to dignity and the pedigree of who she is with all her womanity. Second position is Oluwatosin Adebisi Adeleke. Thank you. And first position evidently goes to the woman with a voice, Osunde Esosa, and her poem that has profiled all of the engagement challenge and rising as a champion through the power of her virtue. Thank you very much. On behalf of UNESCO, the United Nations family, and this collaboration on the GBV response in Nigeria, celebrating the winner of the poetry competition in the art expression, sponsored and championed by the UN. Please, once again, a round of applause. Thank you. My photographers, are you okay? Or we should make it, you're fine? All right, then please a round of applause for everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. Thank you so much to all the winning entries and participants. And now we're going to be taking the winners from the painting. And even as we appreciate this, once again, let's appreciate our UNESCO Executive Representation, Mr. Saul, thank you, and SB, and all of the presence of Your Excellencies, First Ladies, and the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs. So now I'm going to invite you, please, for this particular presentation, invite on our SI celebrities. This is for the art with emphasis on painting. Winners, again, 10 of them from 659 participants. And out of that number, the number of them that actually, as you can look around the hall and see, brought in their paintings were 239. 10 of those 239 entries are winners here today at this State House event. I'd like to invite you, please come up very, very quickly. Owolabi Phoebe, Aniekwe Ozioma Emanuela, Abai Austin, Miss Yusuf Oluwapelumi, Miss Igabota Grace, Miss Owolabi Phoebe, okay, Miss Olatokuba Eniola, Mr. Ogbonia Ukie, and Olubumi Oyesoya. Please, all of you come up. Thank you, please. Let's celebrate them as they come up. Every one of them is part of a 10-man, 10-woman and man winning company. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite our SI celebrities here. Susan Adekoka, again, Omonio Boli, Zara Danejo, Mariam Shetima, Laila Ali Othman, Bright Obina, and Rahama Sadao to please come up stage for the presentation of prizes to these winners and this winning company. By extension, themselves now celebrities in the place of showing what they have articulated through art as a vision board. I'm trying to get there. Thank you very much. So, very quickly, and without much ado, each one of our celebrities will be given one of the gifts and they shall present. I'd now like to invite, okay, I have one more coming up, so let her come up before. In the 10th position, our finalist PA070 is Miss Oyesoya Olubumi. Olubumi Oyesoya, please, very quickly. You just stay right at the center, and please could we have a presentation? Madam, could you please help us make the presentation? Thank you very much. Congratulations. In the 8th position, I'd like to invite Grace Igavota. Yes, let's clap, let's celebrate, let's appreciate every one of you who made it just right there, Grace, just right there. Thank you very much. In the 6th position, I'd like to invite Mr. Abai Austin. Finalist 12, 108. Thank you, Abai Austin, 6th position. Thank you very much, Mr. Bright Obina. And in the 5th position, Miss Yusuf Oluwapelumi, 17th finalist, PA04040. Thank you.
In the fourth position, we have Anyekwe Ozioma Emanuela. Yes, Emanuela, just here. Thank you. Congratulations to all of you. Composing from the heart, that which brings the story and heartbeat to it all. In third position, we have Phoebe Owolabi. Round of applause for Ms. Phoebe Owolabi, finalist, PA 211. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to invite the last two remaining standing winners at this point to please step forward, two of you, so that you can very quickly do your presentation. May I have the microphone, please? Please come forward, the last two. Yes, Mr. Ukie Ogbonia and Ms. Olatokunbo Eniola. Thank you. Very quickly, your presentation. Thank you.
Can I take my walk on?
Oh, most certainly, most certainly. All of you have your artwork in this room.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good day, everyone. My name is Olatokunbo Eniola. I'm 15 years old and I'm from Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos. So, the girl on the left on my artwork represents those who have been raped, and the hand over her mouth represents those people who tell her not to voice out, leaving the assailants free to commit more crimes. The drip and the stand represents those who have been injured emotionally, physically, and mentally. The grave represents those who have died, and also those female activists who also died fighting for women's rights. Now, the woman and the people protesting for our respect, justice, and for gender equality represents also those female activists who fight for our rights and for the generation. The smile on her face shows the positivity in times like this. So I'm telling everyone here, female, male, small and big, to fight over gender-based violence and gender inequality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Olatokunbo. Yes? Honestly.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ukie Ogbonia. The title of my work is Never Again. The medium is watercolor on paper. It is a depiction of the crude and harmful method of female circumcision in the Afikpo-Igbo area of Nigeria, Ebonyi State, Nigeria. On the work, you can see probably a birth attendant trying to use a blade to cut the genitals of a girl. This girl child, the mother is willingly holding her for that practice, harmful practice, to be done. The girl, as can be seen, is not happy, but she doesn't know what to do. The mother that is supposed to protect her cannot. She screams, she tries to run away, but it's not possible because it is the culture. Now, you can see a man, a traditional ruler probably, trying to, with a placard-like, inscription, stop. Trying to tell them that it is harmful, that this culture has been seen or proven to be harmful to the girl child. At the background, or in the background, you could see the local setting, the village setting, where such practices still prevail. What I'm trying to the message I'm trying to, carry out now is, number one, these survivors, these victims, should be given a voice. I am trying to use my art to tell the world how it goes. And we should come out and say, no, stop it. It should very much stop now. I am also trying to say that the male, they have a lot of roles to play in fighting this war. They should be able to say, enough is enough. In that part of the country, in the eastern part of the country, where it happens, the wives are submissive to their husbands. So if the husbands can say enough of this harmful culture, I think would have gone a long way to stop this practice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogbonia. Okay. Second position with a total of 1,089 votes for her imaging on the rape and the presentation of dignity, respect, and justice for women is Olatokunbo Eniola. From Queen's College, pass on the torch. OGQC's here, we make up our, okay, here, there are enough of us, pass on the torch. It's still brightly shining, evidently. Congratulations, Olatokunbo. And with our finalist, Ogbonia Uke, with a total of 1,174 votes. He is the first place winner of this painting competition for the arts competition of the UN in this collaboration for the GBV response in Nigeria. Congratulations, Mr. Uke Ogbonia. Thank you very much. Well, even as you're there, let me still ask Mr. So to please come up. So we just have the UN. Oh, Madam, please, could we have the UN presence here with him as he, and our SI, all our social influencers, stars, and celebrities. Thank you very much. Yes, exactly. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. Right. No. So yes, please, no, just here with him. Thank you. Yes, I think so. So please, let's, I don't know. I think, is that convenient? It doesn't look like a pretty picture. Could you could some people, could they take it from, the base up so it just looks like everybody coming up? Can you create that kind of look? Could we have two of you come this way, just to the steps, to the front, from the edge, yes? Come, two of you have come, yes, two. 1, 2, somewhere there. Just stand. And the next person. And another 2, they are blocking. Okay, whichever, if you just help me do it so it works out. This will go back to that spread. Oh, very ugly picture. Okay. Well, a round of applause for everyone. Thank you very much to my SI influencers. Thank you very much to all of the winning top 10 participants. Thank you very much to UNESCO, UN. Thank you to everyone whose patience, whether it's online or present in this hall, is present with us. Thank you. And even as we bring this to the next stage of conclusion, I'm going to be inviting to please come up Ula Elizabeth Mueller, the country representative of the UNFPA. Today, her challenge, stepping out here as spokesperson and a voice, once again, not just for the reform, but for the trajectory and the path of a successfully implemented GBV response for Nigeria and to a place of global participations. Please put your hands together and help me welcome Ula, and she shall be doing a presentation on and an acknowledgement of the 2020 milestones. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, please allow me to stand on the established and existing protocol for this time of the day. I would, however, like to say to our Minister, Pauline Talon, it is such a pleasure to work with you and to stand here and acknowledge a lot of the achievements that's come in 2020 is very much due to your tireless efforts to drive this agenda forward. So it's a joy to be here today. Thank you. I would also just take a moment just to recognize, as it was said in the beginning, that this is International Women's Day +1. It is also International Women's Month. And I think it should be recognized that women lead already. They lead every day. Small businesses, big businesses. You've seen in this room how they lead. They're everywhere. And I think we have to recognize that it's time that we really strive this time to keep the promises we made more than 25 years ago and get to a point where we actually have equality in leadership. And equality is not 30% or 40%. Equality is equal, 50-50, the same level. As I said, I am honored to be here today because it's under female leadership, it's under a woman's leadership that we have achieved so much in 2020. 2020 was indeed a very challenging year. We've spoken a lot about it. COVID-19 hit the world. And at some point, we actually got to a standstill, or so we thought. Gender-based violence, though, did not come to a standstill. What we saw was a huge spike, an increase in gender-based violence. I don't think we saw it coming, but it was documented that the increase in cases came to a level we never thought we would see. What did happen, though, was here in Nigeria, that the political system and the government was very fast to take on and declared without any hesitation that we were now dealing with two pandemics. We had a shadow pandemic, and it was called gender-based violence. It was a pandemic that was driven by stress. It was a pandemic driven by decreased access to social services and disruption of social and protective networks, which have shown to be exacerbated the risk of violence and health impacts to women and girls. This documented increase in gender-based violence also took us to a point where we had to acknowledge that we probably had a lack of a solid protection system. But what we did have, and what we mobilized fast, was a solid response that could ensure protection and prevention of everyone exposed to gender-based violence. All the partners coming together, the government of Nigeria, the EU Spotlight Project, the United Nations, and the civil society came together and put all their creative thoughts and innovation into ensuring that we could continue to render services. So, amidst all the challenges that we did have, COVID-19 also proved to be the pandemic that made us think differently about how we respond. And maybe it made us more successful because the need became so big. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the global commemoration of International Women's Day is more than just a call for action. It is also a celebration of achievements for progress and in reaching significant milestones in our collective efforts to end gender-based violence in Nigeria. What we have seen here today is testament to that. And we often focus on the challenges, and we must remember to celebrate our successes, because the next achievements will stand on the shoulders of the successes we've already celebrated. So once again, let me congratulate the federal government of Nigeria, because they ensured that gender-based violence and the response was at the center of everything we did last year. We should celebrate that they collectively raised the bar for what is considered to be good practices, and also held us all accountable to do a little bit better and to stay on track. To stay on track to end gender-based violence and all harmful practices by 2030, because that is a promise that we have committed to. His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, personally participated in a town hall dialogue on gender-based violence that was held in August 2020. And this was a clear demonstration of the high level of attention and commitment that Nigeria has dedicated to responding to gender-based violence. The Nigerian House of Representatives the Nigerian National House of Representatives Speakers Committee, they also had a conference of sexual and gender-based violence, and they held that in June 2020. And that demonstrated the commitment of the legislative arm of this country. To the best of my knowledge, that is the first time in Nigerian history that that level of political commitment have been demonstrated. Other key milestones in 2020 included the establishment and the inauguration, as we already heard, of the Interministerial Committee on Gender-Based Violence. It also included the government's approval of the establishment of specialized courts for speedy trial of cases of gender-based violence, and also the declaration of a state of emergency for gender-based violence. So in 2020, we also pioneered promising and innovative and ethical service delivery mechanisms, models that were designed to reach gender-based violence survivors, women and girls, boys and men, because we must not forget them. We also saw on the movies, and we've heard today, they're also survivors. Although we also have to recognize that 95% or more is violence against women. But we responded, and we launched, with support from the Spotlight Initiative, we launched the Gender-Based Violence Virtual Referral and Response Service, which has been highly successful. It means that even in their loneliest moment, even if they cannot go out, there is someone on the other end that a woman can reach out to and get a voice of support and get advice on what to do next. So we achieved increased access to quality services for survivors through establishing and maintaining services and comprehensive gender-based violence response centers across 17 states in Nigeria. To strengthen access to justice for survivors, we collectively also mounted a renewed and growing pressure on states to adopt, as we also heard today, the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act, the VAP. By the end of 2019, only 5 states had actually domesticated the VAP Act. By the end of 2020, 20 states has done so. And only last week, one more of the northeastern states actually joined. Adamawa domesticated the VAP Act and took the number to 21. That's a huge achievement, and that comes to tireless joint efforts of advocating for the domestication of the VAP Act. An important milestone also in order to support the domestication of the VAP Act was the establishment of the DNA forensic laboratory in Yola in Adamawa. We've heard it said today from the civil society, laws need to be enforced. If we do not enforce them, they are just papers full of words. With a forensic lab, we will be able to prove without any reasonable doubt who is the identity of the perpetrator in case of sexual violence. That means that a woman will now have proof and a court cannot deny her case based on lack of evidence. What is coming next is, of course, providing the executive arm with the tools to implement. And while we do our advocacy for policy change and legislation change, we must remember that police officers, school teachers, professors, everyone we meet in public space, even judges, they have to be provided with the tools they need to actually enforce a law. Otherwise, we will never be successful. And we need to take the perpetrators to justice. Only when we can do that will impunity end. And that will be a milestone that will take us even closer to ending gender-based violence by 2020. We also have to recognize that gender equality will not be achieved without women and girls' full access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. Bodily autonomy is so closely linked also to gender-based violence, and it's important that we take a more integrated approach to how we deal with this. We also have to realize that if we do not build on the foundation, we will not be able to end gender-based violence by 2030, and we have to. Because we made a promise in 2015 that we would deliver the Sustainable Development Goals. They will not be delivered if we do not deliver on equality and on access to sexual and reproductive health, which is the embodiment of a woman's ability and right to make her own choices in life. We strengthened the institutional capacity to optimize the use of gender-based violence case information management systems for routine reporting and responding appropriately within their established mandates. So indeed, 2020, we collectively demonstrated that a multi-pronged national response, it works. And in the United Nations of Nigeria, as one UN, we are grateful to the leadership of our national counterparts for the federal government. We are grateful to the ministries, to the departments and agencies, and to the government at the state level, and of course to our loyal partners in development, the EU, the civil society, and everyone else who supports this endeavor. We reached so many milestones in 2020. We established a strong foundation. We have a good starting point as we charge forward in 2021. And we can do better. We can do more. A good example is, of course, the barometer we are here to launch today. We heard on the video we saw from the wives of the governors, the first ladies, that we are looking at a caseload of more than 10,000 women a day. I'm going to ask everyone in this room, do the math. How much is that in a month? Just food for thoughts. Because when we launch a barometer, as we see how that increases in terms of caseload, we need to remember how high the bar is. How far is there till we meet 300,000 cases a month? Because that is probably the minimum caseload we have. And we have a baseline. We have the data from the demographic health surveys. 13 and 18 comes every 5th year, so we can actually measure our progress. That survey speaks its own language of the prevalence. Prevalence is high, and we are now touching only the tip of the iceberg. I believe that Nigeria is the country that can make this change. Based on what I've seen and the dedication and commitment that I have experienced since I arrived in Nigeria a little more than a year ago, I've been so impressed with the response and with the leadership. I think that together we can really change the deeply rooted attitudes and practices that determines discrimination against women and girls. I believe that together we can actually change the power dynamics, because we started that in 2020. We started the long journey to level the playing field. As I've said a few times now, we have created such a strong foundation because the milestones we achieved are phenomenal. Based on that, we can move forward. And we can together ensure that perpetrators are brought to justice. I think everything we've seen here today is testament to the fact that there's no excuse. We have to have justice for all the survivors of gender-based violence. When we do that, and when we stand united in doing that, when we unite behind all the survivors, we contribute to so many things. We contribute towards a healthier economy. If women are empowered and have economic decision-making rights and free to make their own choices, they contribute to economic development. It is not only a planning question, it is also very much an investment question. The return on your investment when you invest in women is only surpassed by trade. It is the single best investment any government can make. We will contribute to building a healthier and wealthier Nigeria, a healthier and wealthier world, and we will contribute significantly in Africa's success in delivering on the Sustainable Development Goals, leaving no one behind. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, it's a multi-sectoral approach, and with those highlights on the milestones, it is clear that with every milestone comes a smile worth taking home. And for the data, is also an expression of a more thorough. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much for a more thorough insight on the achievements and the scorecard for going forward. Well, seated in this room, we have with us the Deputy Country Representative for the UNICEF. I'd like to invite Roshan to please come up. She's supposed to do a presentation on female activists, which we know right now will have to be recomposed and rearticulated. But even with what you say, I'd like to use the opportunity as Director of Ceremonies to request that once you're done, could you please remain here while we take the lighting of the cake for the launch of the barometer, please. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Good evening, I suppose. Excellencies and Honorable Minister, Ambassador, UN partners, and everybody present, and particularly the young people, the young talent. It is my pleasure to be here. I'm here to, of course, wanted to speak about a story of a girl from Sokoto, Aisha, but there's so much of stories that has been said, and the pains behind those statistics we have already mentioned and we've spoken about. So rather I would focus on the women who are making a difference in the lives of these girls and women. So we have organized, as part of the Spotlight Initiative, support from the EU, working on end violence, and we have gone around and we have documented some of the women advocates who have been making a difference in the lives of girls, and brought together portraits of women in leadership and advocates for children's rights. These are powerful women who have dedicated their lives to helping other women and girls. Some of them have experienced violence themselves. So some of the women I just want to mention, women like Barrister Mohammed, a single mother of 3 young children who provides pro bono services, legal services to women and girls who have experienced violence in Sokoto. Women like Lola, who leads a domestic and sexual violence services in Lagos. And women like Abiola, who is the leader of a neighborhood watch program to keep girls safe in the market in Lagos. Together with the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, we will bring these portraits to the National Assembly to ensure that policy and lawmakers are reminded of the everyday struggles and everyday pain and everyday war being waged in all concerns of Nigeria of women and girls' rights. We have included, and particularly that is why I'm here, we have included in the exhibition that is behind there, of a woman of our own, a gender rights activist, a soldier for children's rights, who lost her life in last December 2020 to COVID-19. She was working with UNICEF, to the very end of what she believed in, and who conceived this idea for this project. Our dear Sombo, I'm sure many of you know. May her soul rest in peace. The exhibition is also in her memory. So let us together change the statistics and change the story of many girls that we've seen today. Let us break the silence and end violence against women and girls. Thank you. Oh, no, don't.
Thank you, and I'd like very quickly, even as Russian goes over to the cake, to please request the presence of the EU, the Honourable Minister, please, Your Excellencies, please, just for the lighting of this cake as part of the launch, and it comes to the close of the ceremony, the launch of the National Barometer, and because of COVID protocols, we will not be bringing yourselves close to the cutting, but just standing while the cake is lit. Could you all please come up? And once the cake is lit, could everybody light up the atmosphere with an applause and a resounding celebration of the launch of the National Barometer on gender. Okay, then, please. I know everybody is kind of stretched. It's in the milestones. It's in the milestones. So the next smile, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. There it is, a round of applause and a celebration of solidarity between the United Nations and the EU and this gender response to violence, gender-based violence in Nigeria. Today, it's marking sustainable progress, and it's there with the markers, it's there with the barometer, and everything that is necessitated for a very thorough data and follow-up for as many as are victims or seeking new pathways forward. Yes, there it is. A sure sign of collaboration going forward and coming to the end with the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Shall we all please rise? I think what would be great if we have all of you here and we can take that. All right, thank you. Sirs, could you all please stand?
Women's Day, you should not feel as a woman anything. You should not feel bad. No. Absolutely.
The national anthem. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, one nation, bound in freedom, peace, and unity, thank you. And there it is, successful conclusion to this event marking the sustainable progress in GBV response in Nigeria. And what started as a town hall meeting in August 2020 today has become a banquet hall celebration, celebrating all the teams, the team leads from the EU, from the UN. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ugo Secretary George. Thank you very much, Esme. Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you very much. Oh, happy birthday to you. Celebrating Esme. She should have come to cut the cake with us. Please put your hands together. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.